Welcome to the Dark Docket, where we explore the intricate web of law, the supernatural, and dark history. I'm your host, Aidan, and today we're delving into a case that shook Germany in the late 1970s, the trial following the death of Anneliese Michel. Before we turn to the matter at hand, I need to share an important disclaimer. Nothing you hear on this show should be construed as legal advice. We're here to entertain and intrigue, not to provide professional legal counsel. If you're facing a legal issue, please consult with a qualified attorney duly licensed in the appropriate state. Furthermore, while we strive for accuracy, the primary purpose of this show is entertainment. As such, we can't guarantee the complete historical accuracy of all facts and stories presented. Some details may be dramatized or simplified for narrative effect. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, but remember, we're here to spark your imagination, not to solve your ghostly legal disputes. In the quaint Bavarian town of Klingenberg am Main, on July 1st, 1976, a young woman named Anneliese Michel passed away under circumstances that would soon capture international attention and spark a legal battle unlike any seen before in modern Germany. As a side note, the book The Exorcist, by William Peter Blatty, had been published in Germany since 1972. Anneliese Michel's ordeal began in 1969, when at the age of 16, she experienced a severe convulsion and was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. Over the next few years, her condition deteriorated. By 1973, she was suffering from depression and began hallucinating while praying. She also reported hearing voices telling her she was damned and would rot in hell. Despite psychiatric treatment and medication, her symptoms persisted and worsened. By 1975, Anneliese and her deeply religious family had become convinced that her affliction was not medical, but spiritual in nature. They sought help from the Catholic Church, believing Anneliese to be possessed by demonic forces. What followed was a series of exorcism rituals conducted over many months by two priests, Ernst Alt and Arnold Renz. From September 1975 to July 1976, she underwent 67 exorcism sessions, sometimes lasting up to 4 hours. During this period, Anneliese stopped eating, her health rapidly declined, and she lost a significant amount of weight. She engaged in violent behavior towards members of her own family. When left alone, she would engage in harmful behavior, such as dropping to her knees repeatedly and eating hot coals out of the fire. On July 1st, 1976, at the age of 23, Anneliese Michel died of malnutrition and dehydration. The aftermath of Anneliese's death set the stage for a landmark legal case. On March 30th, 1978, Anneliese's parents, Joseph and Anna Michel, along with the two priests involved in the exorcisms, found themselves in the Aschaffenburg District Court, facing charges of negligent manslaughter. The trial became a battleground of ideologies. The prosecution argued that the defendants had failed in their duty of care, choosing religious ritual over necessary medical treatment. The defense contended that the actions of the parents and priests were protected under Germany's constitutional guarantee of religious freedom. In a dramatic courtroom scene, audio recordings from the exorcism sessions were played. These tapes captured Anneliese speaking in various voices, which added a chilling dimension to the proceedings. Some of the conversations on the tape with the purportedly possessed girl can also be found in a transcript that is available online today. Portions of the transcript reveal that at least one of the priests speaking to Anneliese was frequently asking her leading questions, provoking her to speak more, and directing her to various religious topics of conversation. The transcript also reflected frequent demands from the girl that the priest go and tell members of the public or members of the church about what the demons were doing to her, to encourage them to believe in the truth of the devil's and God's existence. Medical experts testified that Anneliese's condition was likely a combination of epilepsy and mental illness, exacerbated by her religious upbringing. They asserted that proper medical care could have prevented her untimely death, even if implemented a week prior to her passing away. After 7 weeks of testimony and deliberation, the court reached its verdict on April 21, 1978. All 4 defendants were found guilty of negligent manslaughter. However, in a surprising move, they received suspended sentences of 6 months each, along with a share of the trial costs. This verdict sent ripples throughout German society and the Catholic Church. It effectively placed legal limits on religious practices when they result in physical harm, setting a precedent for future cases. The trial of Anneliese Michel's caretakers raises profound questions that continue to resonate today. How do we balance religious freedom with the state's obligation to protect its citizens? Where is the line between parental rights and child welfare? And how can we reconcile traditional religious practices with modern medical knowledge? There have been many cases reported where people have died in connection with exorcisms. In 2005, a Romanian nun died after enduring an exorcism where she was chained to a cross. In 2021, a 3-year-old girl in San Jose, California, was asphyxiated to death during an exorcism performed by immediate members of her family. In 2020, authorities in Panama were informed by villagers that several families had been kidnapped by an indigenous religious sect who intended to perform exorcisms on them. Police ended up rescuing 14 individuals who had been taken, and discovering the bodies of 7 victims at a nearby communal gravesite. Exorcism is a complex practice that spans numerous spiritual traditions. We see it, or practices that resemble it, in Catholicism, Islam, Judaism, Wicca, Hinduism, as well as parts of Southeast Asia. We see this being reflected in modern entertainment as well. For a great recent horror movie to check out, if you're looking for something newer than William Friedkin's original Exorcist movie from 1973, check out the Thai movie The Medium to see a different culture's approach to handling a case of possession. In a recent movie review that was unfortunately better than the movie, Helen Hall, a lecturer at Nottingham Law School, discusses the recent Exorcist The Believer movie, and she points out that while our legal system aims to protect religious freedom, it must also safeguard vulnerable individuals, especially women and children, who are disproportionately identified as being possessed, as well as those with mental illnesses. This balance becomes particularly delicate when dealing with exorcism rituals. So-called possessed persons may suffer social ostracism, sometimes forcing individuals to participate in exorcisms to be welcomed back into their communities. Individuals may be blamed for becoming possessed through their lifestyle or personal choices. Also, people's reluctance to undergo an exorcism may be taken as further proof that they are possessed. She also points out that exorcism methods themselves vary drastically, from quiet prayer to physically intrusive or violent acts. Some practices may involve potentially risky procedures or the use of unsafe substances. All these factors have to be considered when evaluating the legality and ethics of exorcism practices. As we conclude this episode, I encourage you to ponder these complex issues. The Anneliese Michel case serves as a stark reminder of the sometimes uneasy relationship between law, medicine, and faith. Join us next time on The Dark Docket as we unravel another chilling case from the annals of legal history. Until then, remember, no matter how much you think you are helping someone, never set aside someone's physical safety in favor of their spiritual safety.